Okie dokie, everyone. Happy Friday. I hope this night finds you well. The fall season can be kind of strange and kind of heavy with it being darker, but I don't know. This is the time to take comfort in the things that you know help you, right? So maybe this is a fun place that you can hang out for a while. I'm going to play the intro. It's about 4 minutes long, and then we're going to discuss using intuition and our other faculties of our body and consciousness to make sense of what's real or not, because there's so much bullshit out there. So hopefully, I don't know, we can talk kind of broadly and talk around the topic and get somewhere with it. But yeah, we'll be back, and here we go.
But when the show finally turned on for the first time to get the bugs worked out, it's finally in a position where we could turn it on. I had tears in my eyes. There was some problems, there were some bugs that needed to be worked out, little knick-knack, little stuff, but it didn't matter. I seen it. They came to life. For 25 years they've been sitting in a crate, and I just breathed the first breath of life into them. And, yet again, there's no words to describe it. I sat here and I cried like a child because my dream had just came true.
I never walk about after dark. It's my point of view. 'Cause someone could break your neck, coming up behind you, always coming, and you never have a clue. And now I look behind all the time. I will wait forever, always looking straight, thinking, counting all the hours you wait. See you on a dark night. 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 And now another clue I would ask if you could help me out. It's hard to understand, 'cause when you're running by yourself, it's hard to find someone to hold your hand. No, it's gonna be tough for me, but I will wait for you. I need someone else to look into my eyes and tell me, girl, you know you gotta watch your health. To look into my eyes and tell me, la 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 la. To look into my eyes and tell me, la 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 la. La 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 la. To look into my eyes and tell me, la 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 la. La 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 la. See you on a dark night. See you on a dark night. a dark night. See you on a dark night.
Okie dokie, everybody. So I'll just kind of start talking up to it, and I think we'll get there. Also, I'm very happy I got chat set up, and so if or when we finally do have live viewers, which is the entire idea of the intro song, is that people can roll in when I have a following or whatever, which we'll figure out later on. But we have live chat, and so that's really exciting. And ideally, we could host things like discernment sessions where people could call in, or we could discuss in a communal setting some non-verifiable experiences or beliefs or things that are helpful to get other perspectives on, so we can, exercise discernment with some level of wisdom. And that's really what this is about. Like, I grew up a pretty honest kid, and I had a pretty, my parents were pretty straightforward about things. Hold on. But it became clear as I was entering like adulthood that a lot of people that get ahead in society do so by cheating. Like, a big thing when I was growing up were those Livestrong bands, which was Lance Armstrong, those little yellow things. And everybody and their mom was wearing them. Your doctor was wearing them. It was so all over the place. And, come to find out this guy has been juicing and doping as much as possible. And, it's like, okay, is he cheating? Is he not? Is he getting away with murder? And, whatever it is, the sad truth is that so many winners in our society, whether that's in sports or in relationships or in business and, even politics, all those fields, a lot of winners are masterful deceivers, like their skill, maybe they have natural talent in their domain of choice, but to make it like next level that launches them to a different degree, they're a great liar. Like they're a great used car salesman. And that's the thing of like, even if I have a good product, if I'm going to market it and if I'm trying to sell it in an attention economy that's saturated, where everyone is trying to say, come and get my thing, hey, what's up? The question is, if everyone's trying to demand your attention and everyone's making reality claims, how do you sort through all of the signals and all of the noise? And if I'm trying to sell my product also, if, the only way to get through to you is maybe to say like, this is the dopest shit ever, like this is the best, right? And so entering adulthood, I found myself being misled again and again and again. And there's like stupid things like getting married, right? Like, you think you're in a relationship, you get married, you're supposed to buy a house, you're supposed to have kids. If you do this, you'll have that, you'll get old, you'll die together, all the rest. And it's sad, like things aren't that rosy, right? And even a thing from the 90s was a career man. Like, oh, if I work for the company for 8 years and I put my time in at the company, like they'll really care about me, right? Like I'm important because I've stuck around and I've shown that I'm loyal to the company. Well, it turns out that is a complete myth. And when it comes time 8 years down the road, it's way more expensive to pay you than to hire a new kid and train him, right? So there's all of these legends and myths and lies that we follow in life, and we find themselves in the middle of them, and we have to ask ourselves, okay, a couple of things. Like, it's the Matrix question: do you want to wake up blue pill, red pill? A lot of people are much more comfortable in their story to the point where if you were to mention something that jeopardizes the safety of their story, they might have like a violent impulse. Like they might want to slap you if you try to puncture the bubble of their lie, like their big lie that they're living inside of. But the other thing is to maybe lose the fake story and see what's going on. And I keep asking myself this. Would any sober-minded person, if you really took stock of the state of affairs and how fucked the world is right now and how baked in the devastation of it already is with people in power and all that stuff, right? Like if you really were to swallow the black pill, wouldn't you be like raging mad, like pulling your hair out? Couldn't you just not even sleep at night, right? And so it's strange to think, for me to live, for you to live, for us to just get by, we have to kind of blanket ourselves in some layers of maybe denial or numbness, like some acceptance or understanding of great evils in the world, or some of the wrongs that are occurring. The young person would try to fight the mountain or try to slay the dragon and maybe die pursuing that and become a martyr. An older person, on the other hand, is more resigned, and it's wisdom, but they're like, well, these big evils, these big things, like, I'm not going to try to even, that's just people. People will be evil. Evil will be evil, right? So, speaking more specifically, we have things like the COVID pandemic, where everyone got freaked out about invisible germs, and there were people arguing in the supermarkets about, masks and things like that. Families were broken up. And then there's injectable experimental gene therapies that are broadcast as safe and effective, etc. Please refer to your local health provider. Your local health disturber, refer to your local health disturber for more information. On top of all that, even before COVID, this thing happened with a Smith-Mundt Act in America, where there's this restriction on distributing propaganda, like domestically in America, and they had to amend it for the online era. So nowadays, you can get propaganda from the government if you're a news organization. You just have to say you got it from the government online. And ever since then, with the Smith-Mundt Act amendment, I think it was like 2012 or something, during the Obama era, domestic psychological operations have occurred on Americans. There's weird things going on, like they're trying to gussy up Christian nationalists, and they're trying to make this paper tiger of really hot-blooded Americans that are Christian, but it's really just an excuse for the FBI to have people enter into and, in essence, like do domestic surveillance of these intimate groups of churches all around. And it's like even like Asian American churches, right? Like it's not only whites. All these different operations, and people are all too, it's like, it's hard if you're busy with your life and you're finding yourself assaulted with messages like MSNBC telling you that the future of democracy is at stake and you need to confront your family members about their politics, right? Like, and so now you have somebody that's watching a television show. They're getting coached by somebody that's getting pointers from the Pentagon or whatever the fuck, right? And they're going around to their family and getting into interpersonal, kind of like tense discussions with them. What's this all about, right? Like, people are involuntarily manipulated into this spell of caring about something, and then like a virus delivering a message. And so there's some theorists that talk about this, and so we're going to get into, and I'm kind of like burying the lead. I want to discuss this guy Matthias Desmet and his theories. I need to square up the text to make sure it fits right. I think we're good, right? But what is it? We can read this. It's a nice little readie that explains it. And then I want to talk about the peripheral nervous system. So you have your brain, then you have your gut brain and your peripheral nervous system. And the reason I want to discuss that after we discuss this mass delusion thing is I think it's really our only resort, using our intuition, using our consciousness and our central and peripheral nervous system to, you know, try to make sense of things, right? And so just on that, even feeling your body, it's a weird thing, but just sitting there quietly and feeling your body might help you realize things and grasp truths that if you weren't just sitting quietly within your body and sensing, you wouldn't ever understand, right? Like there's something about, especially in this age where we're preoccupied with screens, and imagine if I'm like 8 hours in the office and I'm clicking away and, you know, like doing my office thing, right? How much am I in my body? Am I even focused on my breath? You know, do I feel the bottom of my feet? Do I feel the hair on the back of my neck? You know, so it's like a Buddhist thing to have like grounding in your body, but there's also this impulse with your body of like, let's say if you're on an elevator and two people step on and you're at a hotel or something and you're like, well, maybe instead of hitting my floor, I'll just hit a floor above and I'll get off on that one so that they don't know where I actually am, right? Like this is something that women have to deal with. A lot of men don't understand, but that like skitter scatter spider impulse is a big part of your body processing what's occurring to you. And sometimes it might misfire, like you might have a sense of danger when it's not due, but a lot of times it's like your pre-consciousness. So before it's like a full thought in your mind, it's a pre-conscious charge that's telling you, wait a minute, something's not right. I should probably get out of here. This doesn't feel good, right? There's a loading in your body that if you weren't aware of your own sensory experience, you might discount or skip over because you're just sort of like caught up in other things, or you're listening to the latest top 50, you know, hip hop song or something, right? You haven't given yourself the chance to be within yourself and to have that intuitive connection with what's going on. So that, I think, I don't know how much more we need to talk about that, but that really is the biggest piece that we can resort to when it feels like, am I being lied to? What's real? What's not real? How would I discern fact from fiction? You know, we can try to rationalize and process, but it's the gay Baphomet. It's the gay one. Come on. With intuition, maybe we can start from somewhere to understand what may be real or what isn't real. Okay, let's get this guy up, right? Boom. Now, I just need to make sure that this works. Cool, we got it. So this guy didn't invent the theory, but there's like Wilhelm Reich, 1933, wrote a book right around when National Socialism in Germany was rising. And he wrote about this thing, mass formation psychosis, where groups of people given a lack of any spiritual like core or any meaning structure, can glom on to a mass psychosis, a mass delusion, and in essence like ride on this boat. And it doesn't matter what you say to them, they are so vested in that being the reality of things that they'll do unethical, immoral, and contemptible behavior. Matthias is a lovely speaker.
I'm a professor in clinical psychology, and I lecture at Ghent University in Belgium.
Yeah, so there you go. I recommend you check him out, and his, there you go with his name spelling right there. And he's a heartful guy too, so I care. I have a care for that. But let me just read this briefly. It's a brief synopsis, and then we'll skip the second part. Or wait. Yeah, we'll just go down to here, the summation part. So it won't be very long. But I think this kind of gets to what I'm talking around a bit better than I may. So, after noticing some anomalies in the statistical analyses being conducted during the early pandemic, oh dear, Desmond became concerned by the consensus narrative he was reading in the mainstream. In this interview, he suggests that a phenomenon of large-scale mass formation has risen from 4 psychological conditions that currently exist that are closing off human thinking. Sorry, rough start. Desmond postulates that people don't necessarily act from an evil intent, but more a psychological process to survive these conditions that is 95% subconscious. The 4 conditions that allow mass formation to emerge are: 1, lack of social bond. Oh my goodness, here we go again. Maybe this is actually the right move. Nope. If I move this here. Okay. I know it's like falling off the page, right? I can't do anything about that. Lack of social bond. According to a national survey of the American Sociological Review, 25% of people said they don't have a single close friend. 75 million adults aged 18 to 28 or 27, comprising the millennials and Generation Z, were lonelier than any other U.S. demographic. It's a psychological social media paradox. People are interacting together online with their avatars, but they aren't their true selves. They don't create the intimacy or vulnerability that comes from shared experience, thereby suffering from a lack of critical they don't create the intimacy or vulnerability that comes from shared experience, thereby suffering from a crisis of lack of community. The second condition: people experience life as meaningless or senseless. In David Graeber's book, Bullshit Jobs, when he asked whether people think their job is meaningful, 50% answered not at all. This is busy work, right? Bloat work. A Gallup poll from 2012 done with people in 142 countries revealed that 63% of respondents admitted to being so disengaged at work that they were sleepwalking through their day, putting time but not passion into their work. Time theft. Free-floating anxiety. Anxiety is generally connected to a tangible mental image, like being chased by a lion. But if people feel socially isolated and that their life has no meaning, their anxiety isn't connected to a mental representation. This free-floating anxiety is creating a deep psychological discontent. In Belgium alone, 300 million doses of antidepressants, antipsychotics, and sleeping pills are used each year in a population of 11 million. 300 to 11 million. That's not that bad. That's like if a million people had a million. Well, I mean, that's still a lot, but yeah. Once a day. A million once a day. A study from the World Health Organization says that 1 in 5 people over 300 million actually have anxiety disorders. And the World Health Organization would implant chips in your brain to help you cope with anxiety if you let them. They not only have anxiety, but qualify as having disorders. The fourth condition for mass formation psychosis is free-floating frustration and aggression. People feel frustrated and aggressive without really knowing the cause of their annoyance or anger. This is huge, dude. Like the people in charge, the man, you know, down with the man. The people in charge want you to be angry and to like be binge drinking to cope. As I'll take a cup of tea. They want you to be angry, but they don't want you to know why. Or maybe they want you to be angry at the wrong things, like white people. White people are trying to kill me, and they're taking away all my jobs, and the white people, they're kicking me out of the streets, and it's like, no, like that's not the problem, right? It's not race wars in America. This is a matter of our government has dissolved our domestic currency and increased our national debt to inconceivable levels, to the point where they have like robbed our entire nation and the heritage of our nation by being completely selfish and just like cowardly and deceitful, right? So we go back to it. If I really grasp how fucked these people are and how evil and twisted the shit that they do to us is, I would be enraged. But I might not know who or how, you know, like who should I be mad at, and then how do I transform that in any meaningful way into the world beyond just tormenting myself, right? So we have to figure out through this without forgetting our story and becoming, lost in the vapors of technology or modernity. We have to keep in touch with the mission or quest of whatever, purpose of our life may be. And otherwise we'll just float on, right? We'll just sort of drift and then, like a soggy log, fall into the water. Mob psychology. When these four conditions are fulfilled, if a narrative is distributed through the mass media identifying an object of the anxiety, a target, the scapegoat, Jesus, and providing a strategy to deal with that object, mass formation can thrive. You present the problem, you present the solution, and the people, like lemmings, throw themselves off the cliff. All the free-floating anxiety and anger, now turning into panic, becomes attached to the object. It's scapegoating, right? It's the same thing. This is Isaac. Sudden connection through this heroic struggle together against the object creates a new solidarity, a social bond that has been lacking, which in turn creates meaning. We are persecuted. People then feel they can control their psychological discontent by participating in the strategy, even if it's utterly absurd. You need to wear a mask and wear plastic all around you when you hug your grandchild, because your grandchild could kill you with things that you can't see. Participation in this strategy has nothing to do with facts. It's to preserve the new social bond created by fighting together to defeat the object of their collective anxiety. This is the antecedent to genocide, right? This is what's going on with in Palestine right now. There's a collective delusion that if they don't kill every single Palestinian and every single child, every single one, eradication, that they won't be safe. And part of their delusion is that they're completely morally justified in eradicating these people because they have this delusion of collective guilt, of association, which is they're engaging in blood feuding and crimes against humanity. I mean, let's face it. But this is collective delusion. So when we have evangelical Christian senators and people in America that are sending weapons to Israel or gassing up a Armageddon on our earth, and they believe in the rapture, they believe in heaven and afterlife, where they're guaranteed a safe, warm paradise, we should be concerned, gravely concerned. The Department of Homeland Security, the upcoming nominee. Did I get this? Let's see if I have it on there. Nope, I don't. Anyways, the people that are getting appointed, they say openly that God's chosen people must be protected. And they're like unveiled about their preference and exceptionalism of a particular kind of people that believe in a particular kind of God. And for me, if we regard our era, it's the 21st century, 2024, we're still living with, you know, these ancient messianic religions that are tribally based. Like it's just so to have our entire world's security jeopardized and under the gun of people that are obsessed with old books, I find it completely unacceptable. So here we are. By obeying the strategy, people can go from a very negative, isolated state to the polar opposite, a state of maximum connectedness. There's almost like a fervor, like a intoxicated group mind that creates a mental intoxication that will make people willing to go along with everything, even if it's utterly wrong and illogical, or if they stand to lose everything that is important to them personally. Crimes against humanity. If they parrot the corporate narrative and adopt the same authoritarian, shaming language they hear from their leaders, or they parrot that and adopt the same language. This is like in Rwanda, where they said we must eliminate all the cockroaches and all of the disgusting pests in our lands. You know, you dehumanize these people, and that makes it so that the conscience, which would ordinarily be disturbed by what is a despicable act, something like violence upon an innocent person is a despicable act that's unacceptable. If someone rationalizes that because the human mind is powerful enough to construct rationalizations, they can just feel completely clean about it. This is the summation of hypnosis. With hypnosis, attention is focused on a small part of reality narrated by the hypnotist. Just like hypnosis, people absorbed in mass formation are not aware of what's happening outside the small focus of attention that the corporate media narrative provides. So, this summary is written by a dude, or Barbara with Wisconsin City Citizens Media Cooperative. I thought she did a good job. So, excuse me. Hypernormalization. I hope you guys check this documentary out. It's written by and directed by Adam Curtis, and he has the great luxury and pleasure of working for the BBC and having access to their entire archive. You can find this on YouTube, okay? I'll look it up just for fun. Hypernormalization and Curtis. So fortunately, they have the whole damn thing on YouTube right here, see? So go ahead and have a looky at that. And this is a stunning documentary that covers how with technology, here, we can just read this. The word hypernormalization was coined by Alexei Yurchak, a professor of anthropology who was born in Leningrad and later went to teach at the University of California, Berkeley. He introduced the word in his book, Everything Was Forever Until It Was No More, The Last Soviet Generation, which describes paradoxes of Soviet life during the 1970s and 1980s. He says everyone in the Soviet Union knew the system was failing, but no one could imagine any alternatives to the status quo, and politicians and citizens alike were resigned to to maintaining the pretense of a functioning society. It's easier if I just get up, get in my car, and I do the thing, and I act like the world is not about to end. Right? Over time, the mass delusion became a self-fulfilling prophecy, with everyone accepting it as the new norm rather than pretend, an effect Yurchak termed hyper-normalization. So in essence, if everyone shows up and everyone plays up to the same make-believe suspended reality, then in a way it becomes actual reality and manifest. And it's really awful, but it's like if we kill every person with blue eyes on the planet and then the people left just never talk about people with blue eyes anymore, what is reality, right? Isn't it, obviously it's awful, it's unacceptable, but that's the issue of the people that are alive write the history books, they tell the accounts. We see that in China, like modern day China, they killed millions of people, and it's inconceivable the amount of human lineage and genetics that were lost. The very rich and diverse, Chinese history that was eliminated through purges of ideology, right? But it was also an ethnic purge. So, what is it? They're mostly Han now, from the Han thing. But I'm way out of my league with this, so I have to back up, right? Anyways, I highly recommend you view this if you have some extra time. It's a lovely, if you like English voices and all of that, give it a go. And then there's a TED Talk, I can't find it, but some woman did this wonderful TED Talk about the gut brain and intuition. And she went over the entire issue, the entire thing of we have our conscious brain, right? And this is getting back to how do we make reality, right? We have collective delusion. Somebody's telling you it's real, the TV says it's real, the newspaper says it's real. How do you tell it's real? There is an issue where if you're completely untethered and you're skeptical of everything, it's a bit of a trouble then if you're shut off from anything. And I don't know, at that point you really have to slow down and take stock of what you have. But there are things that you probably know. I see your chat, so there's just no reason to respond. You see, it's popping up. There's things that you probably know, and then there's things that you're convinced that you know, but that you don't actually know, if that makes sense. And it's a weird thing to parse, where you can have a conviction that something's true, and then it doesn't live up to it, right? This is the issue of, we'll talk about relationships now with men and women. There's the social, the spoken truth, that emotional, which, men, they'll say the female truth, and then there's the male truth, right? So if a woman says, I love you forever, there's no one that will ever matter more to me than you. It's true when she says it in the moment, but 2 years from then, if you're but you said that there's no one that would matter more to me than you, she's well, yeah, it was true then, but it's not true anymore, right? And so that's where it's you can be convinced of things, that I thought we were in it together, right? I thought this was, you were for real. And it turns out that that's not how it is. And the sad thing is, this happens a lot when we're asked to give answers to things that maybe we don't know the answers to, or ask, if you make promises, people that get tortured over words, I'm a man of my word, and if I've given my word, I will be there no matter what. There's some kind of sternness and strictness. Maybe it's important to live like that. But something that we state with certainty one day, we may have a completely different sense of another day, right? And that's the thing of, it's sad if you bind yourself to your words or to ideas, right? And this is like back to mass delusion. If you bind yourself to delusions and stories or some sort of like pitch, like I'm the career guy and my role in the world is a real estate agent, right? If for whatever reason that doesn't work out, I have to retire, I get a new job, it's going bad. I've pinned so much, invested so much in that one thing that now I have this fragile structure that can just crash down like a sandcastle. Same thing with marriages, right? You lied to me, you told me you would be this way, but you're not. And now you're, you're watching anime. So there's all kinds of stories, and that's where how do we make truth of it? It's important to work with what's immediate. People get tormented with like accounts of the past or projections of the future. And it is important. Like I connect with those things too, or I connect with the fantastical, like that, the fictive or the potential, even the probable I connect with. But the immediate, the now is really, there's no substitute, right? And so really that's back to be in your body, feel your body, feel your breath, feel your feet. If you can feel your pulse. And I don't know, some people don't like being in their bodies. It's not a happy place, but you do have to check in to get a sense of like, okay, where am I with things? Like for me, I don't really keep a clean house, and I know in my body I'm growing more and more resentful and just kind of irritated by how it is. And so I can either be, delinquent from that feeling and ignore it and just keep on throwing trash around, or I can stand up and do something, right? Delusion, the fraud society. What's really cool is that even though there's so many liars and cheats and thieves out there, there are plenty of good-hearted people that exist. And that's the sad thing of if you're resigned and you think there's just no point, it's a prisoner's dilemma every direction, it's a what is it, dog eat dog world or whatever. You'll probably get by. Like that's like a prison mentality, right? You'll probably get by, but you're not going to have a good life. On the other hand, if you're completely naive and you open your heart up to the world, to everyone, you're going to get totally gutted, right? You're going to be bleeding on the street in an alley somewhere. So the middle road there is to, protect yourself and care about yourself, but be ready and be brave to trust others if the signs and the immediate sense that they may be trustworthy is there. I'll put a disclaimer that people that they've studied this, like social psychology, how much you want to believe that, but people that are attractive, that appear attractive, have been scored as more trustworthy and also more intelligent, even though being attractive has nothing to do with being intelligent or trustworthy. And so there's like a bias in our mind of if we like someone, we want to believe them. I think it's just a natural human thing. Like it's easier to trust someone than to have to deal with doubt, right? And so I hope that you guys can find people you trust, and I hope that you honor that together and share that intimacy, which is just, intimacy is just like that deeper level of human connectedness. It doesn't have anything to do with sexuality or, a lot of people confuse intimacy with love, but it's really just it's like letting someone into the more personal dimensions of your life that you may not share with others, but they're deeper truths, and there's like a richness and a texture to the intimacy that nothing can replace. Like even therapy tries to get close to it, and they say like, oh, in therapy you can have real discussions, but it's not the same as having a talk with like your best friend or someone that you really know for, you've known for years and years. And I guess that's the thing of it's a bit of like naive or hubristic to think you can figure it all out by yourself. Try to find sources that you can refer to and trust. And there's a lot of fraudsters out there that are trying to like shepherds trying to broadcast like, I am a good person. I want to show well, I'll get to it briefly, but so there's a lot of like sham gurus out there that'll take your money and give you some nonsense, but there's also lots of good people that just want to share their gifts. And I trust that when you encounter someone like that, it will be apparent. I've made a video before, meaning makers. If you search up CONSCION meaning makers, I think that's it. It has Charles Eisenstein, Thomas More, and James Lindsay. So those are some meaning makers. There's this documentary. I want to see if I can get it up. Hold on. What's the guy? Fake Indian shaman It was so charming. Kumare. Holy shite. So this... Okay. I'll share it with you. I guess this full movie is on YouTube, so check it out. Kino Lorber has this Kumari movie.
Hello everyone, welcome.
So this guy, he's just a regular Indian American guy. He just grew up like anyone else, but he did himself up, and he got so into it of being this spiritual leader. And it's so great to watch, dude, because all these like Californianites fall into it deep. Some of like the chicks are like falling in love with him and they want to have his children, and then the entire time he's saying like, you are nothing special, I am nothing special, I do not know anything, you do not know, he's just like, he's not really, I don't know. So this is a fun watch too. It's kind of light, but you see like the thing you get to experience the gaslighting in a bit. And then there's this really fun fiction movie that's just kind of... this is not it. There you go, The Sound of My Voice. It's about these people that join a weird cult in America. And it's like they're doing like group sessions and stuff. Processing things, and she's like an alien angel incarnated in a human or who knows what, and there's intrigue about humans being kidnapped into the cult, right? So obviously like there's a fascination in these things. Even it's kind of sweet and sad, but in North Korea, when North Koreans defect and they flee to South Korea, they've been so head to toe covered in worship of their supreme leader, Kim Jong-un, Kim Il-sung, whoever it is, that they take very easily to Christianity when they go to South Korea. And so it's like, oh, like they go to church and like, there's a God, he's all powerful, he has strict commandments and laws I must follow, and if I do, I'll be rewarded. And they're like, this is it. Like, it's... So there's something kind of cute, or I don't know. I don't know what about cute, but they're able to adapt but their spiritual and their belief system is already so like conditioned to vest trust in a higher authority. So good luck finding good gurus. I will say I am simply I deal in nonsense, non-real things that are non-verifiable, which means it's all bullshit. And I'm very comfortable in it not being an objective question here. I talk about ideas. I believe that human consciousness is a miracle we're sanctifying, and that is the foundation of the religion CONSCION. And all from that downstream would be respect for human dignity of others, respect for the consciousness of others, and then also the free expression of religion, which includes all kinds of spiritual practices and technologies under the sun. So this would be a vehicle for us to have spiritual rights in the world, and then to be protected from some degree of persecution, or at least that's my wish. So that's the big conclusion. I don't want to yammer on much more. I'm going to try to stream again on maybe Sunday. We'll see, right? And I wish you guys a good weekend. I'm going to play a AMV, and that's it. Wish y'all well. Abyss.